Hey, everybody. It is Brent Daniels, your host of the Wholesaling Inc. podcast, the world's #1 podcast when it comes to all things wholesaling real estate. With me today, I am so excited to introduce, out of just outside of Atlanta, from Canton, Ohio, Mr. Eli Rose. Eli, say hello to everybody.
Brent, what's up, man? What's up, TTP family?
I'm excited, man. I'm really excited because here's the deal, guys. Everybody that's watching this on YouTube or listening to this on the podcast, Eli recently posted to the TTP group 2 big, massive checks, okay? One for $50,600, the other one for $51,593. These are back-to-back checks in one picture, if you can imagine. So obviously, it definitely piqued my interest to find out more about those deals. And it was really incredible because he wrote down the story. These are not very traditional wholesale deals, but these are something that you really had to think outside of the box. I know that's a little cliche to say that, but you really had to think creatively about how to put this together to get the most profit out of these deals. Now, both, just in full disclosure, both these deals were from TTP, right? From picking up the phone, is that right?
That's right, man.
Awesome. Love it. So let's do this. Before we get into that, that was like the teaser, right? That's what to bring people in to watch and listen to this podcast, because it's going to be great and it's going to give you a lot of information. But tell us your background. Tell us where you're coming from. Have you always been doing this? Is this new to you? Are you a family man? Are you a single guy? Like, tell everybody about you. Let's get some relatability here.
Yeah, man. So family man, 2 kids, a 6-year-old and a 3-year-old. Been married for 10 years. Got into real estate about 3 years ago, dabbled part-time while I was in corporate sales. I spent about 7 years in the corporate sales world. And two and a half years ago, I took the plunge, went full-time, hooked up with a guy who does some of the traveling real estate seminars. I'm a licensed agent as well. So I was listing a lot of his flips. I was wholesaling him deals, kind of getting to see the inside of his business. I mean, the dude was a madman. He flipped like 150 houses a year. So great learning experience. Did a lot of listings my first year. Last year, I cut out all the traditional agent stuff, went strictly to flipping houses, wholesaling houses. I sell properties, quite a few properties, to hedge funds here in Atlanta, some as a traditional agent, some I'll take them down and sell them off as a wholesaler or a wholesale deal.
Guys, got it. And you're in Canton, Georgia. How big of a area is that?
You know, man, I don't even know the population here. My business is done in the city.
It's all in Atlanta.
I do most of my stuff in the Atlanta area.
Awesome. And so you touched on a couple different things there. You talked about really you had a mentor in this to really kind of pull back the curtain and let you look at what he was doing to flip so many properties, right? Like how much did he show you? Did you get like everything? Did you understand everything that he was doing and kind of how he was sourcing his deals?
Kind of. I got the inside on the production piece of the renovations really well. So I was the listing agent. So I was going in and getting to see them while they were being produced. And then obviously I was really involved in the final process, selling it as the listing agent. Once we built that relationship up, I started picking his brain, understanding how he sourced his off-market deals. Most of his stuff, if not all of it, was off-market stuff. He wasn't doing a bunch of direct marketing. He would buy from wholesalers. So he had just a huge Rolodex of wholesalers that he sourced deals from.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? It's amazing how many of those big-time fix and flippers do not source their own deals. And in my experience, that's because they do not want to deal with, 1, the marketing or prospecting of finding the deals, and 2, most importantly, they don't want to deal with the emotions of the sellers or kind of like, sitting down and going through everything, solving that seller's problem. They just want to come in, they want to bring a cashier's check, sign at closing, and start renovating, right?
Yeah, man. I mean, I like to tell folks I'm in the sales and marketing business. It just so happens that the byproduct to my sales and marketing system is discounted real estate. It's a totally different monster than actually flipping houses.
Oh, for sure, for sure. And then how much of advantage, disadvantage do you think it is having a real estate license? Because I get this
I've
question
never,
all the time. Should I get my license? Do I need my license? Like, what do you think?
I think it's an extreme advantage. I've obviously seen the argument of, hey, you should and you shouldn't. For me, it gives me access to the MLS, which is amazing for analyzing deals. When I flip properties, I'm trying to get out of this, but when I was um, flipping properties in the past, I would list them and save money there. Really, you just have to disclose. It's just disclosure, disclosure, disclosure. Anytime I buy a property, I am, letting people know in paper, verbally, hey, I'm a licensed agent. I'm in this to profit. I don't represent you in any capacity whatsoever. And yeah, man, I think it's a huge advantage personally.
Awesome. And so, talk to me about your schedule. How does it work? Are you a one man show? Do you have a virtual assistant? Do you have an acquisition manager? Like, what is the structure of one, your business, and two, your daily schedule?
Yeah, sure, man. So I have a full-time lead manager. I have an acquisitions manager, 3 cold callers, and a virtual assistant.
Awesome.
So the virtual assistant, he pretty much builds cold calling lists and skip traces all day long. That's all he really does. The lead manager, she also doubles, and I'm not quite big enough to keep her full time as a lead manager. So she'll cold call when she's not busy, but she's doing all the follow up. She's presenting initial offers. Cold callers, they're obviously cold calling, and my acquisitions manager is taking the leads that kind of make it through the filtering process that are hot, and she takes over those and tries to close the deal. I spend my time analyzing deals right now. So we have a setup where it goes through a workflow process and it comes to me, and we have information on the property, the 4 pillars that you teach in TTP. My cold callers are going through qualifying the 4 pillars, property condition, time frame to sell, price, and motivation.
Yep.
And then they're coming to me, and I go into the MLS, and I'm doing a very detailed, I guess you could call it comparative market analysis. So I'm looking at it and saying, okay, is it better to flip this property? Is it better to wholesale this property? If I wholesale it, is it going to a buy and hold investor? Is it going to a hedge fund? Is it going to a flip guy? And really figuring out what our best offer is. So most of my time is spent on that, looking at KPIs, managing how my team's performing, cold callers, acquisitions managers, and coaching and training them.
Love it. Love it. And you mentioned that your VA is scraping to put together lists and skip tracing. What lists are you finding are working?
So we've actually done most of our TTP deals off of a general high equity absentee owner list. So another benefit to being a real estate agent, you have access to tax record data through the MLS system.
Sure.
So he's building, I'm pulling lists, he's scrubbing those, he's skip tracing those. We also do niche lists, so tax delinquent, code violations. We have a couple counties figured out where we can go online and get real niche. We can get divorces, probates, all sorts of different distressed type situations. But my highest performing list year over year is tax delinquent. Tax delinquent's been awesome for me. I always get a couple deals squeezed out of one of those.
Yep.
And with the cold calling, we've actually had more success going real wide. So we build these what I call blanket lists or world lists, and then we'll just pound them, triple line dial them, and pound out as many as we can.
Well, and you have 3 people, right? Are they full time?
So one is 30 hours a week, and the other 2 are 20 hours a week.
Yeah, so you're getting, what is that, 70 hours a week of calls?
Yeah.
You need a lot of addresses to call for sure. There's no way you're going real tiny with your list there unless you're like, hand dialing them and leaving messages, specific ones for each one. So that's great. So you're going wide, you're getting big lists, you're calling all of them. You get a lead coming in. That's somebody that says, yes, they would consider an offer, or they're kind of showing some interest in selling it. Are your cold callers really diving deep into the 4 pillars of pre-qualifying, or are they just scraping the surface, getting off the top ones that say they would consider, and then that goes to your lead manager?
Yeah, good question. So they're pretty heavy on the property qualification. So they'll pull up Zillow, a feature in Mojo where you can just pull up Zillow, and they'll use that Zillow data to kind of break the barrier into the property questions, and they'll qualify pretty heavily on the property condition questions. I leave the motivational questions more so for the acquisitions manager.
Yep.
As a way to really get into the rapport building.
Yep.
But yeah, they're really tasked with just finding folks who say they're interested in receiving a cash offer. And depending on what information is disclosed by that prospect depends on the workflow moving forward. So if they provide an asking price, we have a different workflow for that than somebody that says, well, why don't you give me an offer? You called me. So yep. it goes through different workflows, and there's different scripting throughout each of those different types of responses.
Perfect. Yeah, that makes so much sense. And your lead manager, I mean, is this a full-time job for them? Are they looking, I mean, as soon as the leads come in, or is it just like, you know, I only get, let's call it 5 leads, 10 leads a day. It's not like a full-time thing. I've got her doing other things or him doing other things. Is this somebody that's in your market, or is this somebody that's virtual as well?
She's virtual. She's from the Philippines. She's been in real estate for 10 years, BPO real estate. She worked for a broker in Savannah, Georgia for 3 years, a Keller Williams broker.
Yeah.
So she understands the dynamics of real estate. Her English is killer. But yeah, she's full time. I mean, we've also ramped up some text message marketing lately, and we're right at about 30 leads a day. So awesome. She's keeping an eye on these leads coming into Podio.
Yep.
And part of her job is getting them ready for me to analyze. So she'll get basic property data put into one place so I can quickly just go down this list and bang out the CMAs. But yeah, she's right now about 4 hours of her time is allocated towards scrubbing those new leads and following up. The big part of the lead manager role is follow up.
Oh,
and
yeah.
When you start popping out massive amounts of lead, that follow up gets overwhelming. It's crazy. Like, she is absolute beast with follow up. So she's 4 hours a day right now on the lead manager tasks, and the other 4 hours she's cold calling. But yeah, she's full time. She's 8 hours a day.
That's huge. Yeah, the lead follow up is where that's as you build up your pipeline and you have leads that aren't ready to go now, and you're kind of, you know, walking them through the sales cycle, right? You got to stay in front of them. You can't just let them go by. You know what I mean? And it starts adding up. Especially when you get 30 leads a day. That's beast, man. I love that. I love that so much. So tell me about these 2 deals. Okay, let's first break down this first one, the one that you closed for $50,600. Tell me what was going on there. Really awesome. I mean, you did a great job describing it in the Facebook post, but let everybody know that's listening and watching.
Yeah, that was a cool one. So the initial lead came in, and this guy disclosed his asking price. He was an absentee owner. He lived a city away. This deal was in Ackworth, Georgia, and he disclosed his price, and his price was full retail. And we make an offer on every lead. Like, we don't care. We're going to make you an offer. It may be $100,000 less than what your asking price is, but you're getting an offer. So lead manager, it comes to me. I do my thing, produce the CMA, put it back in the lead manager's bucket, and say, hey, G, follow up on this. She calls him, delivers the offer. He's like, heck no. A day later, he calls back and he counters, I think, $30,000 less. Yeah. G comes back to me, so we have a workflow for that. She's like, well, we got a counter. I said, hold tight, hold firm on our initial offer. We hold firm. He calls back a day later, and he's $3,000 over our initial offer. So it was awesome, man.
Yeah.
I mean, his original asking was $235, and we ended up getting it for $153.
Oh my gosh, awesome. So what was the condition?
It was great, man. So my original strategy with this was to take it down and do a quick cosmetic flip. Yeah. There were tenants in it, so it was tenant occupied.
Yeah.
I was going to let the tenant's lease expire. They took great care of it. I was estimating 15 to 18K in repairs. The biggest thing was the HVAC system, but I mean, it was minor cosmetic. It had granite countertops, hardwood floors, nice house.
Awesome.
So
it had a tenant in it though. How long was their lease till?
Their lease was supposed to be through August of 2019.
Okay. And then what happened?
So I went to him and offered cash for keys. So I was going to let him stay. So I used private money to take down the deal.
Okay.
My interest payment was $300 less than what they were paying for monthly rent. So I covered my interest payment at least.
Yep.
And I was just going to let him stay in there, do a quick cosmetic flip and sell it retail. And I presented it to a hedge fund before I actually bought it. And the way the hedge funds work is they go binding. You go under contract with the hedge fund before they actually send somebody out to see it.
Right.
And I had already done a really good reno estimate. So they made me, they offered $220K as is.
Mm-hmm.
After they went out, did their thing with their inspection, they renegotiated 5K, which I was fine with. I ended up offering the tenants cash for keys to get out early.
So explain real quick. Explain what cash for keys means.
Yeah, sure. So tenant had a lease. Their lease was up until August of 19.
Yep.
I said, hey, how about I give you a couple grand? I'll give you your security deposit back if you get out of here in 30 days.
Yep.
That's simple. And they were like, you're going to pay me to get out of here and give me my security deposit back? They were like, heck yeah. So they packed it up and got out.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's amazing. A lot of people get scared of that, but just ask them. You never know. I mean, they might go. Now, did they have the right to stay there until their lease was out? Up? Absolutely. As long as they didn't breach their lease contract, absolutely. But you were there. You made them an offer, I guess, that they felt would be better for them at the time. Maybe they were already thinking about moving. Maybe they just didn't want to be there anymore. Maybe this was the push that they needed to get out of there. So just everybody out there, if you do have tenants that are long-term leases, have the conversation. See if there's something that you can work out to get them out of the property or to get out of the lease so that you don't have to hold on to that property as long. So, and another great thing that you talked about is you talked about selling to hedge funds. Now, this is a really interesting topic because there's a couple different things going on. There's certainly hedge funds like you sold to that they're in the business of buying these properties, holding these properties, renting them out for the long term or whatever, and they just have a huge portfolio. But also for everybody out there, and I think they're in Atlanta too, Eli, the Zillow cash offers, the OfferPad cash offers, and the Open Door cash offers. These guys, I am telling you, if they are clean properties, you can sell it directly to them as is for way more than you bought it for, and they don't care. They don't care. It is a number on their equation. We have done it multiple times and have made way more selling to them than selling to just a traditional fix and flipper because they just have a bigger budget. They just have really tighter margins, right? I mean, it's just a really smart strategy. I love that you mentioned that.
Yep.
Yeah. So you bought it. So give us the timeline. You bought it, and how long before you sold it and got paid?
Yep, I bought it first or second week in January and got paid within 2 months.
Woo! And this was a cold call lead off of which list? Do you remember?
This was high equity absentee.
High equity absentee. And what was the total that you made again?
Say that again, the total?
The total that you made again.
I believe 51,000, 50,000.
50,600. Yeah. I love it. Victory bells all around. Now, tell us the second deal that you closed in the same amount of time for $51,593. Tell us about that one.
Yeah, so this is one that I was planning on wholesaling. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom townhouse in Stone Mountain, Georgia. And I was going to wholesale it, but once I put it out as a wholesale, I just didn't get an offer that made sense. It made more sense to flip it.
Yep.
So I used a new private lender on this deal, and they funded 100% of it. So I took this one down, ended up taking this one down as a flip.
Awesome.
So they funded 100% of it.
Okay.
They paid for the construction, which is typically lenders will do a LIP account, a loan and process account.
Sure.
So you'll have these reserves where you draw out the construction funds as you go through the renovation process. And this lender ended up paying the LIP account up front at closing. So essentially at closing, I bought a house to flip and was stroked a check for $51,000.
I love it.
So yeah, man. So we just, we pulled permits yesterday and we're quote unquote breaking ground on that one tomorrow. We got probably a 30-day timeline to flip that or to renovate that one. And then we'll put it back on the market and list it.
Awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. And where'd you get that deal from?
That was a cold call lead as well.
Yep.
That list, I believe that was a tax delinquent list. I'm almost certain that was tax delinquent.
So it sounds like you're doing some of these, and I apologize if I don't understand the area as much, but these areas that you're doing it, are they on the outskirts of Atlanta? Or are they kind of like the suburb? Like where are these at?
Sure. So Ackworth is more of a suburb. Stone Mountain's more in the city. So I have 115 zip codes that I target throughout Metro Atlanta. So Metro Atlanta is really sub-market. I mean, probably like Phoenix, that,
Yep.
there's sub-markets, there's
Yep.
pockets, each little pocket's different. Stone Mountain's more in town or more closer to the city. Ackworth is more of your suburban area north of the city.
Awesome.
I'm doing
Awesome.
deals all over Atlanta. Most of my stuff is in the city, but it's pretty close suburbs to, the actual Atlanta.
Yeah. So what is the difference? What is the difference that you make on a wholesale or a wholetail or a flip versus what you were making as a traditional real estate agent?
Oh man.
Do you remember what your average deal size was for each one? You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. I mean, I was working for the large scale fix and flip investor, and we all know they don't pay 3%, man. So I was hustling my butt off for a 2% listing check, typically on lower end properties.
Yep.
Yeah. So during 20, the reason I cut out the agent business is I went back during 2017 and analyzed my time and my profit, and about 70% of my time was spent on those listings, and about 30% of my profit came from them. So it just didn't make sense, man.
No, I was averaging as a real estate agent for a decade 2.7% interest, 2.7% commission, right? Wholesaling, it's 16%. Listen to me, everybody out there that has been a realtor for a while, knock it off. Wake up. The market has changed. It's direct to the homeowners. It's direct to the sellers. Start working in the distressed market. Quality conversations with distressed property owners. That's how you win this wholesale game. That's it. That's it. You just got to be consistent with it. If you're out there and you're a real estate agent, I'm getting on my soapbox right now. Make the change. Make the change now to wholesaling. Don't wake up 3 years from now and be like, oh, I'm still making 100 grand while all these other guys around doing wholesale are doing 250, 500, million bucks. I'm telling you, make the change. Anyway, don't you think? Do you agree?
I agree, man. 100%.
How good is life right now? How happy are you?
It's good, man.
Right? Isn't it better than going around and getting the pictures and doing showings and taking, doing all the agent activities that you have to do? Essentially, you're an employee of whatever that seller is, and you have different sellers all over, and you have to keep going and building and doing all these things. Aren't you just so much happier?
Oh yeah, man. Oh yeah.
More time with the family, more time to grow your business, more time to invest. I mean, it's just phenomenal. So that's really, really awesome. So that's $102,000 in 2 deals. I mean, these are massive deals. How do you keep doing massive deals? What do you do mentally to make sure that you're looking for the biggest and the best deals? And technique-wise, like what little instructions or what kind of instructions can you give people listening to this or watching this that will help them mentally get into getting big, massive checks?
Man, I still struggle with that. It's just being firm or being confident in your offer. Sometimes you feel like you're going to hurt somebody's feeling. You get this kind of this feeling in the pit of your stomach when you're making these offers that, and this is just way too low. Just trust the numbers. Don't get emotional. Offer low. Have your initial offer be on the low end, and if you need to negotiate up.
Yep.
But don't be afraid to make the offer where it's a great deal for you. You'll be surprised. I mean, this is the one we talked about in Ackworth. That's my 3rd largest wholesale deal, and I remember when I was getting into this, I was looking at it going, "Wow, man, I could make 10 grand on one of these deals," and that seemed like a lot. Then you get your first one, you're like, "Well, maybe that was just an accident. Maybe what did I do? Maybe that isn't normal." And then you do another one, and then you do another one, and yeah, man, it's real. And just keep that mindset. Don't let the emotion get you, and just stick to your numbers, know your numbers, and offer low, man. Make a low offer and see what they say.
Yeah, and it goes back to the fundamentals, which the fundamental is in any transaction, there's only one party, one side of the transaction that sets the price, and that is the buyer. Listen to me. Get it in your head. Everybody listen. The buyer sets the price for everything, okay? It's not the seller. It's not the appraiser. It's not the county assessor. It's not the real estate agent. It is the buyer. If there is not a ready, willing, and able buyer willing to pay what pay a price for the property, then it will never sell. That's the point. What is your price that you think that property is worth for you? What do you want to make on it? And stick to your guns. It goes back to what Todd Toback taught me years ago. When you're giving an offer, just go with 2 words in mind: certainty and likability. If you're certain about the offer that you're making and you do it with a tone of voice that is likable, it is not aggressive, it is not being a jerk, it is being somebody that is very, very likable, somebody that has a kind tone, then you will win. Courage and likability, baby. Those are the 2 words when you're making your offers. So definitely think about that today when you're making offers, tomorrow when you're making offers, the rest of your career. Keep going with that. So, in closing this, give some advice to people starting out. Give some advice to maybe somebody that's done a little bit, but wants to build a team, wants to make this a business.
Yeah, I would say be laser focused. I made the mistake of chasing shiny objects. There's so many shiny objects in this real estate investing world: buy and holds, fix and flips, wholesales, retail agent stuff. Stay laser focused and don't take your eye off the goal, and figure out how to get there. And just don't let anything deter you. Don't let the naysayers get in your head and get a bunch of negative head noise up there. Don't let the opportunity for a quick buck deter you from, going after what you really want. So just stay laser focused and don't stop no matter what.
I love it. Thank you so much. If people want to reach out to you, how do they find you? If somebody wants to, somebody in Atlanta that's like inspired by this and they want to maybe work with you, or they want to, just talk to you, meet up with you, how do they get a hold of you?
Yeah, man, fire me an email, Eli, E-L-I, at hometeamhb.com.
HB, okay. HB is in boy, right? Yep.
House buyer. H is in
house
buyer.
I love it. And guys, if you are interested, remember, communication, 80% of communication is visual. So if you want to watch this, if you're listening to this, you want to watch this, check out the Brent Daniels Real Estate Coach YouTube page. It'll be up there. It's always awesome. It helps us remember a lot of things, a lot of the gold nuggets that Eli dropped in this podcast. Make sure you check that out. Also, if you are ready to be part of the most proactive group in real estate investing, you got to go to wholesalinginc.com/TTP. That's wholesalinginc.com/TTP. I look forward to working with you personally. You work with me personally, just like I work with Eli and some of the others that you have heard on this podcast and on the YouTube channel. So check that out. But as always, first of all, I want to say thank you again, Eli. Thank you.
Thank you, man.
All right. And for everybody out there, I encourage you to talk to people. Love you. See you next time. Bye.